Hey guys, Rudy here. This is a response to Den Keeper's comment that he left on his cooking video. He responded to my comment and thought it was interesting. I'm just going to read his comment. Um, I'm just going to read my comment first, and then I'll read his comment to get some context. I'm going to have it on the screen as well. On point when you talked about we're the same damn people from the days of Egypt, and he didn't literally say that, but kind of paraphrase a little. In mind, body, and spirit, the dudes in the Bible were going through the same shit we do. The present day Old Testament, and everyone is walking around thinking we're in the New Testament. What a trap. And I'll explain what I mean in a moment. And he replies, I'm starting to see that the Bible is a medium of truth like many other things. I think truth has a way of attaching itself to things we hold dearly. It makes sense that the reality would use a book to speak to people when there wasn't anything else. At the very least, I'm starting to think that the Christ story might be a metaphor for challenging what's been told to you. Like many things, what ruins the good message are the people that manipulate it. I always imagine ancestral people to be like characters from a Mel Brooks movie or Monty Python's Holy Grail. Where do you stand on the Bible and the Christ story, metaphor or actual events? And that was and that's the question I want to answer. And I'll start by explaining what I mean by the present day Old Testament. And what I mean by everyone is walking around thinking we're in the New Testament. And the New Testament was like, I've said it before, and I'll just explain it this way because I think it's a good way of explaining things. It's like an exhalation. When Jesus was crucified, we were all saved, right? That's the mythos. That's the story we're told. And that we're now living in the New Testament. Our sins have been forgiven. Jesus took all his sins onto him. He was the scapegoat. He was the stigmata, whatever you want to call it. And it's like people are walking around. They've been told this, right, since they're young. The preacher man tells them, the padre tells them that we're living in the New Testament and that we've been saved. But to me, and what I mean when I say we're the same people from the days of Egypt, or that general area from how long it was ago, 2,000 years, 3,000 years. It doesn't matter. Like, we're the same people. We're just blinded by this idea that our technology makes us something different, when in actuality we're the same people. Spiritually, our bodies are the same. They have the same familial issues, the same problems with their family. Their families are toxic. You'll see that all over the Bible. Hey guys. Okay, I got cut off in the first 3 minutes of the video, so it's basically the next day. Kind of pick up where I left off when talking about the Old Testament. So people walk around thinking that they're in the New Testament, where in fact we're still in the Old Testament. The same family problems, the same spiritual issues, the same problems with murder, killing, and stealing. It's just the same bullcrap. You can go through the whole Bible, and if you're going to find at least one story that you can relate to, and the big one that I relate to, of course, is I've talked about it before in my video that I made, You Are Cain, where I insinuate that everybody is still acting out that Cain and Abel mythos within their families, within each other, with strangers, with the clerk at the counter. We're still acting out that myth. And that's what people do. Like, we can't help but act out these mythological stories. And I do think, and the big question was, what are your thoughts on Jesus and the Bible? Is it like a fiction or nonfiction, basically? And to me, it's both at the same time. It's reality. It's their reality from 3,000 years ago, however long ago, wrapped in metaphors and in parables and reality, because that's how life is. That's how the present is. We're, like I said, we're acting out the mythos, and only because it seems to be, that's how the gears turn when it comes to reality itself. And as for Jesus, I do think Jesus was a man, but I don't think he's God. Not in the slightest. I know a lot of people do. That's fine. I'm not really. Uh, I guess, I mean, if you think that, I'm more than willing to discuss it. But he just comes off as a man, the perfect man. I've said it before. One of my past videos, in my last video titled "Degradation of Language: NPCs Are Important," I talk about what it means to be a Christian, what it means to be a Christian for me personally, and I explain in that video that it's the acknowledgement, not in my head, it's the acknowledgement that there is a path to perfection, implying that Jesus was the perfect man, as in the way he handled people, the way he handled situations, the parables he told, the stories he told, the way he handled, the sinners and the Pharisees. He didn't discriminate. He saw people for the mess that they are, if that makes sense, because everybody's wrapped in their mess, in their familial mess, their family mess, their baggage. And Jesus saw this. It's like really obvious, or at least obvious to me in the Bible. Jesus saw these people as walking trauma, which is what we are until we forgive. And even then, it's still a matter of overcoming. I'm not claiming that I'm 100% over it, but I'm saying the forgiveness that I had for my mother and father caused me to see what was within me. And once I understood what was going on in me, I understood what was going on in other people. And I see it every day. I see, and I feel so blessed, like, to have the job that I do, only because I'm able to witness so many lives in one day. Like at least 100 people a day, because it's just an overnight shift. But the people that come in, the caliber of customer we get in the overnight crew for the overnight shift is just like, I don't want to say the worst of the worst, because it could be worse, right? And thank God it's not worse than it is, because it's kind of bad. Like the meth heads, the tweakers, the crackheads that come in, and it's just like, just seeing that is eye-opening. And I don't judge these people. Here's the thing about it, like, I stopped judging these people once I saw myself in them. Like, I could see myself in the situation they're in, like just coming in and talking to themselves and acting like schizophrenics. It's just amazing to me. And I think that's the way Jesus saw the people, just acting crazy, like claiming they're Christians when they got so much mess going on, but he had like sympathy for them. And all he was trying to do is, and he only spoke to the people who wanted to listen. And if they don't want to listen, it's whatever, go fuck yourself, basically. But to me, he was the perfect man in the sense that he saw through the madness. He saw the reality breakdowns. He could have been the world's first, conspiracy theorist for all I know. I think he understood that the world wasn't what it seemed to be. It seemed to be ruled by Satan, by Lucifer, the not milk. Something in the background. And it's not like I'm projecting this truth or stuff on him. It's just, I don't know, just the way he handled people kind of tells me that he saw things the way the normal person wouldn't. He was a seeker, and he was looking for other seekers, but very aware at the same time that he could be stabbed in the back at any moment. Like when he was talking to his disciples, and he said to them, "One of you will betray me." It's like, yeah, no kidding. Like, no, of course, because everybody's a snake. Everybody's in it for the wrong reason. His disciples were in it for the wrong reason, because they followed him, thinking he's God, thinking that they can get something from him, right? And to me, that was part of the message too. And when I say I'm a Christian, that's what I mean. Like, the acknowledgement that there is a path to perfection for every human being on earth. But the twistedness of it is the people, I've talked about it before, the moralist Christians who look down on everyone. And it's the moralist Christians who have the least, when it comes to like who has a chance of waking up? I honest to God think it's the moralist Christians, the ones that go around thinking they're doing good, that can't see themselves. They're blinded by pride. They're blinded by their goodness, right? They can't understand that they're in it for the wrong reason. They're in it because they want to please daddy. And that's not the relationship you need. That's not the relationship you're going to have what you need to have with God, because God is not a genie. He's not a genie in the sky. This is grant you wishes. If you have riches and material wealth and land and your house and your children are doing well, it's not because God blessed you. I would be very wary of that. I'd be very wary of that kind of talk, because you don't know where your fortune is coming from, because all of that could be from Lucifer for all you know, the not milk. You and I both know that's whoever's listening, like you and I both know that the not milk rewards its minions. And I'm gonna give you an example. I don't know how many of you are familiar with Duck Dynasty, and the thing that got me really thinking about this is when Matt McKinley mentioned it offhand in I think it was like 2 videos ago. I don't even remember what it was about. Oh, it was Roseanne, and on the screen they were promoting Duck Dynasty on the bottom, which are the Robinsons. It's Phil Robertson and Phil Robertson and the other dudes. I don't know their names, but I'm familiar with the show. I'm familiar with them, believe it or not, because the town I live in is where they're from, and they're the big celebrities in town. They're the big. They got the most clout. They got the biggest cocks, basically. Well, the biggest ducks. Anyway, they got rich. They basically. It's called Duck Dynasty because they got their riches from the duck calls that they make. And around here it's very hunter centric, and duck hunting, deer hunting, and all that good stuff. And I'm not from here, like I said, so I come here, I hear about the Robinsons, it's like, okay, cool, whatever. But they're basically the family that every other family wants to be. They go to church, they got their riches, and for all I know, they thank God for their riches and their good fortune and their wealth and their health and whatnot. And this should be the telling part, is that they had this big promotion along with creatures like Roseanne. I forgot exactly what the promotion was, but you get my point. Like, they got their show. I think it ran probably more than 5 seasons. I forget. My wife has the DVD box set, because they are funny. Don't get me wrong. They seem like nice people. Like, if you were to meet them, they give you a good handshake and talk to you for a minute and you'd be on your way. I'd love to have a discussion with because one of them's a preacher man around here. I don't remember his name. I wouldn't give his name anyway. All you got to know, he's one of the Robertsons, Duck Dynasty guys, and he's a preacher. And I don't know what he preaches. I don't really care. I'm kind of curious. I'd love to have a conversation with him, like a conversation about spiritual things, the things that, like what I talk about on my channel, about moralist Christians, because I'm not afraid in that regard. I will bring these topics up with strangers. I've done it before, and I think I shock a lot of people with the way I answer. But it's whatever. I'm just like, shit don't faze me. Like, I'm unafraid completely. And I worry my wife a little bit, because I do go against the grain when it comes to, well, y'all already know, I go against the grain with what traditional Christianity is, the secular moralist Christians that I do not like. I don't hate them, I don't like them, but I'll have a conversation with them and want nothing to do with them after that, to be honest. But I would be their friend at the same time, because you never know when, waking someone up isn't the right word, but you never know when you can open up someone's eyes to a different idea. And without the fear of being assaulted, right? Because I'm not going to go that far. But anyway, the Duck Dynasty people, they're the big kahunas around here. They got the clout, the political clout. They can make things happen. They got the money. They got the riches. They're millionaires. But everybody looks up to them and they look up to God, right? They thank God. But here's the thing: they're part of this twisted Hollywood. They're part of the twisted Hollywood cult, and they got wrapped up in it because of their fame, right? They got called up. They got noticed by the nut milk. Basically, they're in cahoots with the nut milk. Let's put it that way. So, let's think about where they really got their blessings and wealth from. from the not milk system. You can't help it. Like, you're stuck at that point, and their family is intertwined with this twisted satanic reality in that way. And we all are to some degree. That's the thing. I'm not excluding myself from this. My original point with bringing up Duck Dynasty is that they're intertwined with this Hollywood cult. And I don't know if they realize it, or maybe they do realize it and realize they're stuck. But they're playing out, to me, they're playing out the biblical mythos. And we all do. We can't help it. And I know other cultures got their mythology in that regard, but I'm sticking to the Bible right now because that's all I know. Anybody else can point out the mythos in other cultures, that's fine. They're all the same to me in that regard. It's very suspect that so many cultures around the world seem to have a spiritual awakening around the same time. The same mythos, the same history, the same parables, etc. It's really suspect, but I'm not going to get into that here. It's not what that video is about. So to me, the Bible is the de facto, because I'm a Christian, right? So the de facto way of getting a person to wake up. And Den Keeper referred to the Bible as, he referred to reality as giving us the Bible. And a lot of people will say, a lot of Christians will say that the Bible was given to us by God. And I don't think that at all. Especially lately, like the past couple of days, I started realizing about the Bible that it's a corpse, it's the dead word, right? It's material. And it needs people to speak it into being. So you have all these dumb preachers repeating Bible verses and whatnot. And that turns it into a fractal, a living spirit, something that can affect the reality. So going off of that premise, I honest to God think the Bible was given to us by Lucifer, Satan, or the not know, whatever. And from there, it's like, well, he had to, because he had to tell us the truth. And Den Keeper said he believes the Bible may have been given to us by reality itself, and yes, that's totally on the table. Because we're, like I've said before, we're in because it's like we're in a bond with reality, a symbiotic relationship. It needs us. We don't necessarily need it, but we're kind of stuck here right now, right? There's really no way out. We can't bow out of the system. I've talked about it before. Den Keeper has brought it up. We can't just bow out of this system. The 666 system. And it's like the devil had to give out the truth because he has to play fair in a way. It's like he needs to get the truth out there, and it's done through the media. And you could say it's done through media, cartoons, especially children's movies. Holy crap. Like it's like a sick pact where maybe God says, you need to tell them the truth or the game's over. You can't play with your toys anymore. I'm taking away your basketball. You're coming home. And I'm just making up a story, right? I'm going along with the mythos. You and I, the people listening, we're the living word. We're the living mythos. We're acting it out at all times. So I'm saying God was like, I'm taking your toys away if you don't play fair. You need to play fair with my children. And it's like, okay, I'll give them the Bible. And what twisted God? Shit. Like, what twisted God would give his children something so dangerous like the Bible? Because I can't think of a more intellectually crippling thing than something like the Bible. I'll give you a good example by bringing up one of my older videos, not older videos, maybe like a week ago. The one where the preacher man was talking to Jesse Lee Peterson. It's I forgot the name of the title, but I'll put a little thumbnail here to show y'all. And the guy is just quoting the Bible, like word for word quoting the Bible. And there's no free thought in that, like none. Like when I'm talking to you right now, I can't just quote the Bible. I don't have it memorized. So it's like I'm going off these stories from what I kind of remember, and I kind of add my own my own spirit into it because I gotta relate it to my own life in some way. And to me, that's the way you should interpret it because that's how it comes alive. That's how it makes sense. To give you a quick example, I can't remember what it was. I was trying to put my daughter to sleep, and she was being like a little smartass, and I thought it was funny because when the Cain and Abel story, when Cain slays Abel, God says something along the lines of, "Where's your brother?" And Cain says, "What am I, his keeper?" And he says, "What?" Basically says, "Do I look like I own him? Am I his mother? Like, why are you asking me?" And to me, he was being a smartass, and I find that little tidbit in Genesis so funny because everybody should be able to relate to that. And that's when I started relating these stories. It took that little bit, that little. To me, I found it humorous, and since I found the humor in it, I was able to relate to it. So I told my daughter that I was like, "It's funny, huh? The way Cain is being a smartass to God. It's like son and father, right? A little kid and his dad, and the little kid sits in the smart aleck." And she found that really funny for some reason. Well, not for some reason. She found it funny because it spoke to her spirit in a way. It tickled her funny bone. It tickled her brain. And that's how you get people to remember these crazy stories, is by adding a little humor. Like, the Bible isn't so serious. It is not the holy word. It's a corpse. It's a dead corpse. It's the book. It's a book. Calm down. It's not that serious. So to me, I guess to wrap it up, in a very long-winded way, I explain what I think about the Bible. It's wrapped in metaphor, it's wrapped in parables, but it's the dead word. It's just words on paper that need reality generator beings to breathe life into it, because there's life and death in our spoken word. And I believe that for a fact because I've experienced too many strange things, especially the past 2 years, where I speak things into being. And it's not like I can make a mountain move, right? And maybe I could. The balloon fractal thing, like, what the hell? And I'm not saying I caused that, but it's a little too coincidental, right? Like, our words affect reality. And it's for a fact that it does. Science even proves it. Like, from the mere observation that our words create sound waves that travel through the air. It's a fractal. There's no doubt about it. The scientists say it is, and it's in the spiritual level it is. It's life and death in the human tongue. If this was a video game, like, spoken language would be banned, like, just nerfed immediately. How fucking overpowered is it that we can speak out loud and understand each other the way we do? That's overpowered. Like, if this was a video game, it would just be taken out of the game because it's OP, it's overpowered. You would say, like, there'd be, like, the other animals would put in a ticket to the mods to get rid of it because it's unfair. Think about it. Think about it, man. Anyway, that's all, guys. Thank you so much for your time. I hope that clears up any I hope that answers Den Keeper's question, because it is a good question, and I could go on about it for hours, to be honest, but I'm home and I'm tired. Thank you very much.
This next series of photographs are the work of Japanese researcher Mr. Masaru Emoto from his book, The Message from Water. Mr. Emoto's work provides factual evidence that human vibrational energy, thoughts, words, ideas, and music affect the molecular structure of water. Please remember that water comprises over 70% of a mature human body and covers the same amount on our planet. Water is the very source of all life. This photo shows the beautifully formed geometric design of the Yushi Spring water. This next photo is from the Shimanto River, the last clean spring in Japan. Notice the extraordinary geometric forms. The fact that the molecular structure of water can be affected by our consciousness, our intent, and our sounds is extremely important. This photo is from the Mount Cook Glacier in New Zealand. Mr. Emoto has been visually documenting these molecular changes in water by means of his photographic techniques. He freezes droplets of water, then examines them under a dark field microscope that has photographic capabilities. His work clearly demonstrates the diversity of the molecular structure of water and the effects of the environment upon the structure of the water. This photo is from the fountain in Lourdes, France. This photo is from contaminated water from the Yodo River in Japan. In this photo, we can compare the contaminated water with clean stream water. Look at the difference. Mr. Emoto decided to see what effects music would have upon the structure of water. He placed distilled water between two speakers for several hours while playing different music and then photographing the crystals that formed after the water was frozen. This photo is of water being exposed to Beethoven's Pastorale. This photo is the effect of Bach's air for the G string on the water. This photo is water exposed to Chopin's Farewell Song. This next photo is water being exposed and affected to music that was designed for healing. This photo is of water being exposed to the Kawachi folk dance. This photo shows the effect of heavy metal music upon the water. Here now we can compare the effects of healing versus heavy metal music and what happens to the water molecules. Mr. Emoto decided to see how thoughts and words affected the formation of untreated distilled water crystals by typing words onto paper and then taping this paper onto glass bottles overnight. This photo shows the effects of the words, "Thank you." This next photo shows the effects of the words, "love" and "appreciation." This photo shows the effects of the words, "You make me sick, I will kill you." And here we can compare the effects of "thank you" with the "you make me sick, I will kill you." Very, very different geometric forms being incurred through the intention. Now this photo is of a very polluted and toxic water from the Fujiwara Dam. Here now is the same water from the Fujiwara Dam after a Buddhist monk had offered a prayer over it. Prayer, that sound coupled with intention, seems to have an extraordinary ability of restoring water to its natural, harmonious, geometric symmetry. And in this photo we can compare the toxic water and then the effects of praying over